2.
Dark haze. Ladies of the night with eyes of red, vampires in the alleys where good men dread, wolfmen howling beneath the pale moon, but justice is coming and coming soon. From saloons to graveyards where evil sleeps, they walk among us, secrets they keep, nightmare hunters with souls ablaze, cleaning up this town through the dark haze. Themselves, yet they stand tall against the darkness, answering the call for every lost soul, every whispered prayer. They fight for the light in the midnight air. Dark haze. The night is young, the hunt begins. For against the darkness where hope never ends.
Good evening, folks, and thank you all for joining us on another edition of the Nightmare Hunter podcast. In the studio with me tonight is Robbie Jed Rains and Kerry Pocket Doc Davis. I think Steve got called into work. He wasn't able to make it tonight, so you just have to put up with the three of us yahoos, and we will do our best to keep you all entertained this evening. And boys, how you guys doing?
Wyatt, I am rolling.
Robbie, how about yourself, brother?
Above ground and breathing.
Well, it's got to count for something.
Yeah. As long as we
you know what? Now that we're on the air, I don't think I like this new window style. I think I'm going back to the old one.
Ah!
I don't like it.
I'd tell you.
I'm just going to stick with the old classic.
My butt right there in the middle. Front and center.
Robbie was ready for his close-up.
Yeah.
No, neither was anybody else.
Robbie said it felt like this.
Well, I'm going to tell y'all something. Today was the funeral for the 2 officers that were killed, and there is footage all over the local papers, the local TV shows, because as they were taking the bodies back to from the church back to the funeral home, it had just rained, and the hearse and the motorcade is passing under a rainbow. It's absolutely beautiful.
Man.
It is. It was just stunning to see it.
God bless her.
Really cool picture. But anyway, I'm not going to head down that train tonight. I'm just I'm glad the officers were laid to rest, and I appreciate all you guys' prayers. And it's been a rough week, and they're getting better. My buddy Josh is out of the hospital. He's home. He's got a long road to recovery, but he's home, so that's always a plus. But tonight we're going to jump into episode number 408. Pale Crawlers, the night the ground let go. Documented emergence events across the American backcountry. Because when they surface, something else goes silent. There are places in America where the dark doesn't just feel empty, it feels aware. Places where the wind stops too suddenly. We've been in a few of those places. Places where the trees lean in just a little too close, and where the silence feels like it's waiting for you to make the next move. That would be Moon Valley that night.
Mm-hmm.
Witnesses describe the same moment the night changes. A shift in the air, a pressure in the chest, a sense that something is watching from a place lower than eye level, as if the ground itself has opened its eyes. It starts with a sound you can't place. Not footsteps, not breathing, something softer, something wet. Something moving across dirt and stone with a rhythm that doesn't belong to anything you've ever heard before. Your brain tries to label it. Your instincts tell you not to. Then you see it. A pale shape at the edge of the light. Long, thin, bent in ways a body shouldn't bend. Not standing, not walking, just unfolding. Slowly and deliberately, like it's remembering how to be upright. Witnesses say the same thing every time. It had moved like an animal. It moved like something learning how to be alive. And when it turns towards you, when that long white shape tilts its head in a way that feels almost curious, you understand the truth. This thing didn't come from the woods. It came from below them, from tunnels, from ravines, from places where the sun doesn't reach and the rules don't apply. And once it surfaces, the night changes forever. Because pale crawlers don't stalk from the tree line. They rise out of the darkness. And when they do, everything else goes silent. So before we begin tonight's investigation, we want to remind everybody, and this is going to become a standard, because with the zone theories, we're really getting into territories that may get us, let's just say, undesired notice. But before we begin tonight, we want to remind everybody we're all in good health, we're not going anywhere, and we don't plan to disappear anytime soon. And for the record, this show is for entertainment purposes only, and the encounters we discussed are presented exactly as they were reported. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so and hit that notification bell so you never miss a night when the ground lets go. So tonight we're opening the case files on 6 documented emergence events, real encounters where witnesses didn't just see something pale and impossible, they watched it crawl into the world. This is episode 408, Pale Crawlers, and it begins now. Doc, you want to start for segment 1?
Be happy to. So we're going to be talking about Fresno, California in this first segment, and this is called The Night the White Figure Walked. So sources are from the Fresno Nightcrawler footage, 1997 and 2011, MUFON case files, KMPH Fox 26 coverage, Yosemite Lakes Park witness interviews, and Regional Anomalous Humanoid Sightings Archive. The first time the creature appeared on camera, it didn't burst from the dark. It rose into it. The pale shape drifted across a Fresno yard, long legs, narrow body, moving with a slow, deliberate glide that felt less like walking and more like something testing gravity for the first time. The homeowner watched the footage with a growing sense of wrongness. The figure didn't sway, it didn't shift weight, didn't correct its balance. It moved like a puppet with no strings, or a body that had never learned how to be human. When the investigators slowed the footage, the creature's legs bent in ways that made the stomach tighten, angles that suggested joints were where joints shouldn't be. Its body didn't cast shadows correctly, and its movement didn't disturb the grass. It was just there. But it wasn't part of the world around it. Then came the second video. Two creatures this time, one tall, one small, crossing a rural road. The headlights washed over them, but they didn't react. No flinch, no startle, just the same gliding, unnatural motion. Witnesses in Yosemite Lakes Park began reporting pale shapes watching from ravines and drainage ditches in the edges of forest roads, not standing upright, upfolding upward like something climbing out of itself. And one man describing seeing a white figure crouched low in a ditch. When he approached, it didn't flee. It rose slowly and smoothly, vertebrae by vertebrae, until it towered over the ditch line. Then it tilted its head in a way that felt almost curious and sank back down, disappearing into the earth as if the ground had swallowed it. Another witness woke to a tapping sound outside her window. Not knuckles, not nails, something softer, something that dragged slightly between taps. When she looked out, a pale shape stood there, long and thin and motionless, right there at the tree line. And its legs were too long, its posture was too still. And when it moved, it didn't step forward. It slid sideways, like its body was deciding which direction made sense. The pattern was unmistakable. It was emergence, it was observation and shadowing, withdrawal. But beneath the calm, something predatory simmered, not in the way a wolf stalks its prey, but in the way a cave watches the thing that wandered too close to its mouth. The Fresno case didn't end with an attack. It ended with a realization. This wasn't a creature passing through. It was a creature surfacing. And if something pale and impossible was rising out of the ground in California, what else was climbing up in the rest of the country?
So what do you guys think the pale crawler is?
Man. I don't know, maybe like one of those underground, you know how you see those critters that are that just live underground for years and years and years, and they're adapted to that environment. Maybe it's just some sort of cryptid that's been down those subterranean passages for eons, and now it comes up. I don't know. I've heard some people say Wendigo. I've heard some people say I don't know, Skinwalker, but I've heard a lot of people say Wendigos, but the way
I used to think maybe they were related to the Wendigo, but I don't know anymore,
Yeah.
especially after reading all of these when I was putting the show together. I just don't know.
Yeah, it's very different, man. I don't know.
Because some of these were seen, well, in places where it wasn't extremely cold climate. And the Wendigo is generally associated with starvation in wintertime. But some of these things were seen in warm months in places like Fresno, California, where it's not really that cold.
Right. And the way the guy was looking at it in the ditch from that Yosemite Parks one, it was standing up by that drainage ditch, and then it just kind of absorbed back into the earth. I mean, was there a passageway there that it came out of? I don't know. What do you think, Robbie?
I ain't got a clue about these things, dude. I mean, I've kind of gone back and forth like y'all about that, but honestly, just my honest, I don't have a clue. I think you've got a good theory, Doc, that maybe it's just a cryptid that's, you know, been down there so long and doesn't come up as much as the others, that it's just turned that way.
Right. Somebody wanted to say hello. He's almost like a walker. He heard our voices, and Angie said he ran to the door. Yeah.
Harold Goodell says it sounds like a rake. I think the rake and the pale crawler are either the same thing or very similar.
Say bye.
What's up, little Doc?
That's kind of go, mama. That's kind of what I was thinking. Because what didn't that? I don't know if we're going to talk about it. I hadn't read all the way through, but that one that ended up in that dude's pickup truck in North Carolina was that sounded kind of like a rake, did it not?
Right, and the way they described the kind of odd, jerky movement and the appendages that are too long, I think the rake and the pale crawler may be the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, I used to think that the pale crawler was associated with the Wendigo, but I just don't think that anymore.
Yeah, Harold had just said something about that, and I mean that theory has credence, and like Robbie said, I mean, dude, I'm just like totally spitballing anything here, you know, just like it sounds like that.
Old Line says, we got wind of a pale crawler here along the river near Jeff and I. You guys be careful.
Wow. That's interesting. I don't know. And Sweet Pea has a good question. What does it do? Attack or scavenger?
Well, the one in North Carolina was attacking. It jumped in the back of that guy's truck.
Yeah, that's that's pretty aggressive right there when something wants to hitch a ride with you.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Doc. I think these things are subterranean.
Yeah, I mean, just gauging from how the colors, because look at all those critters that are underwater in those cave estuaries and everything. You know, they're always pale. Hell, some of them are even like translucent looking, right?
Right.
You know, because they're down there, and then they go blind. Somebody had mentioned it in the title here. I don't know if y'all ever saw that movie, The Descent.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah, those critters in there. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Don Donaldson just said it too.
I think these things came from deep below ground, and are coming up to either feed or to look for new territory.
Yeah, and the fact that it is, you know, like you said, it's so thin and the minimal mass, and it looks more like the subterranean stuff, like you said. I don't know. And so if it's not even moving the grass, like when they were walking through the yards, if it's not even moving grass, I mean, that means it's definitely doesn't move like us. Just like when it was tapping on the window, it was like a tap and a slide.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just interesting to me. So I don't know. And have we ever heard anything about them vocalizing?
Not that I recall. Thank you, Marcus. I don't remember hearing about any kind of vocalizations. But they always describe that same kind of weirdly disjointed movement, that appendage is too long, kind of like almost a shambling type weird movement.
It's almost kind of like spidery, you know?
Yeah.
Like the way they're like from those, because I remember I've seen those videos. I think I might have sent y'all one too, didn't I?
Yeah.
A while back. It looked, because we all were both like, what the crap is that?
So, if it is something like you're talking about, it is the term. What's the term for that? Troglodyte. It's something that stays in the deepest, darkest part of the cave, pretty much its entire life.
Yeah,
right.
But that's a broad spectrum term for anything. So, but these things have. I just looked up. These things have a lot of the same characteristics that are described for those. Pale skin, you know.
Mrs.
Really
Moon said, "Hey, DA, I lived in Fresno, and there are no caves there." Well, maybe they were. Maybe they. I don't know. Maybe they used like sewer tunnels or something. But you know, I'm sure there's a connection somewhere. There's caves found pretty much everywhere. You may not find them in great abundance, but you can always find caves. And if these things are tunneling out, then they could pop up anywhere. Marcus Antonio says, do y'all think they're intelligent, lucid beings? I don't know. Their behavior suggests some form of intelligence.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
They don't seem to be very reactive toward people. They're certainly watching us. They come from low ground positions like ditches and ravines, and when they disappear, it's usually by going back down low, whether that's dipping below the line of sight or maybe even going into a hidden cave or a hidden hole. We don't know, but we've never heard any stories of vocalizations. But it's definitely definitely bizarre. What do you guys think they come from below, from the ground instead of the trees?
Robbie?
I don't know. I think I have thought forming, but it's gone now. So
I think the reason they cluster near drainage systems and ravines and stuff like that is so they can get below ground. I don't think I've ever heard of a pale crawler sighting during the day.
I haven't. Anything I've ever seen, like on those videos, has all been at nighttime.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really bizarre. Um, but if the Fresno was movement of the creature surfaced, was the moment the creature surfaced. Mineral wells was the moment the creature chose its ground. Because in Texas, the pale figure didn't glide across the yard; it moved through a cemetery, and this time it wasn't alone. Robbie, you want to take us into the second one?
Mineral Wells, Texas, the cemetery crawler. Sources: Mineral Wells Cemetery Sightings, 2004-2019. Palo Pinto County Sheriff's Call Logs, anomalous disturbance reports, local eyewitness interviews, archived by North Texas investigators, Mineral Wells Paranormal Society field notes, regional humanoid sighting database. The thing that moved between the headstones. Cemeteries are supposed to be quiet, still, and predictable. But in Mineral Wells, Texas, the dead weren't the only ones that people feared. The first report came from the groundskeeper doing late sweep of the cemetery. He saw movement, low, pale, and fast, slipping between the headstones like a shadow that had forgotten how to be dark. He thought it was a stray dog, but then it stood up, not smoothly, not naturally. It rose in a series of jerking, disjointed motions, like its limbs were remembering how to stack themselves. Long legs, narrow torso, a head that tilted too far to one side as if listening for something beneath the soil. The groundskeeper froze, and the figure froze back. Then it moved, not towards him, not away from him, but around him, circling and testing the distance, keeping just out of the line of sight. He described the sound it made as a soft scraping, like bare feet dragging across dry grass. No breath, no vocalization, just that slow, deliberate scrape. He backed toward his truck, and the figure mirrored him, not not step for step, but angle for angle, as if studying how a human retreats. When he reached the door, the creature dropped to all fours in a single fluid collapse, a motion too fast and too smooth for something that had moved so awkwardly seconds before. Then, then it crawled behind a row of headstones and vanished. The sheriff's office dismissed as stress until the second call. Two teenagers cutting across the cemetery uh, at night reported a pale figure crouched behind a monument. They thought it was a prank until it unfolded upward, towering over the stone. Its limbs were too long and its posture too still. They ran and it followed, not sprinting or lunging, just gliding after them with a speed that didn't match any move or match the movement of its legs. One of them looked back and saw that its head was tilted again, that same unnatural angle, the same silent curiosity. The third report came from a woman visiting a grave at dusk. She heard something moving behind her, a soft, rhythmic scrape. When she turned, a pale shape was crouched between two stones, watching her with a stillness that felt predatory. She said the air felt wrong, like the world had just paused to see what she would do next. When she stepped back, the creature stepped forward. When she raised her phone, it lowered itself slowly and deliberately until only its long, white legs were visible above the grass. Then it slid sideways and disappeared behind the mausoleum. Investigators who visited the site found no footprints, no disturbed soil, and no signs of weight or pressure. But they did find something else, a narrow gap between or beneath the oldest mausoleum, leading into a dark, hollow space beneath the structure, a place where something thin could hide, or wait, or emerge. The pattern was changing. Fresno was observation, Mineral Wells was engagement. The creature choosing when to appear, when to circle, and when to close the distance. And for the first time, witnesses reported something new. The sense that it wasn't just watching them, that it was studying them.
Hmm.
Miss Lene suggested maybe since they're described similar to gray aliens, that maybe they were. I was going to say since that sighting in the cemetery and it disappearing into a hole in the ground in the cemetery, maybe there's some sort of ghoul.
Could be. Does anybody ever report seeing any eyes on these? Because
I've never heard the eyes specifically described.
Yeah, I mean, because the ones I've seen on those videos, it's just like a pale blank face almost.
Sweet Pea, I've never heard of anybody actively engaging one. That doesn't mean it hasn't been done. I just haven't heard the story, and they don't appear to be overly fast. Just a guy says, is there a supernatural element to them in that North Carolina sighting? Driver had the crawler jump on right after seeing a rebel Union soldier while passing by a Civil War national park. Like I said, if they're being seen near cemeteries or places where death has occurred, could be some sort of ghoul. I mean, there's lore dating about ghouls back pretty much through every culture, or creatures very similar to ghouls. So I'm not sure we can consider this one a cryptid. I think this one may actually be supernatural in origin.
Yeah, it could be paranormal. I mean, and because the way it's moving, like it stands up, and like when Robbie said it's like it dropped down on all fours, way smoother than it was standing upright. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it almost seemed like it was like parodying the person that saw it.
Mm-hmm. Like the old Scooby Doo, whenever they would come in contact and they do the mirror movements.
And that was the both times they talked about it adjusting its head.
Yeah, doing the whole little cock to the side.
So if they're subterranean, maybe their eyesight ain't so great.
Maybe so. Maybe they're going on sound alone. I mean,
would make sense that they'd be triangulating where they are.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, because Brian was saying something I was going to say there. If there's reports of them clicking, that could be some sort of echolocation, which if they're subterranean would make it more make it plausible. You know what I mean?
I haven't heard anything about them clicking, but that doesn't mean it hasn't happened. In 4 UPD says, makes me think that line from Thriller, Grizzly Ghouls, every tomb and closing we see their doom. Yeah, that's a pretty good point. Clayton Plot says, do you think that North Carolina It's Not Human phone call was a pale crawler? Yeah, I'm really thinking it was.
Huh. Sweet Pea was wondering if you had any pictures you could put up.
Of a pale crawler?
Yeah.
Let me grab one. I know I had a few. Let me see what I can do. If I can get this folder to open.
Very interesting. Jeff Uring said that would explain why the guy I talked to said it covered its eyes when lights hit it.
Very sensitive eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense, especially if it's subterranean. It would be extremely light sensitive.
Exactly.
Okay, I got one for you. This is a kind of one of the most common images of a pale crawler, and it seems to match the descriptions of pretty much everything we've talked about so far.
Yeah, that ain't creepy at all.
I don't know if this is an actual photo, but this photo has made the rounds.
Yeah, William William. He just said pale crawler is the same type of supernatural phenomena like reports of the black dog.
I would agree with William. I think it is some sort of supernatural element, maybe some type of ghoul or something that maybe feeds on the dead.
Yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting.
Very, very bizarre.
It is bizarre. How bizarre.
But the way they like mimic the movement of people and their quiet approach makes me think they're definitely some kind of predator. So I think, since they've been seen quite a bit around mausoleums and cemeteries, maybe this is some sort of supernatural creature like a ghoul.
Yeah, and and then do they, how's their intelligence, and because if they're going from just watching to interacting with somebody, maybe like you said, maybe they're wanting to learn more about them, more about the people.
Well, I think that from the way they're listening and the way they're mimicking people, I think that definitely indicates some type of intelligence.
Yeah. Gary Spike said one that looks like that was seen west of Fort Worth. Yikes.
Yeah,
Dang.
they've been seen all across the U.S.
Dang, man.
And up in Alaska.
Wow.
So what do you think about the lack of footprints?
It's got to have low body mass.
Yeah, it's got to have a low body mass, or maybe it's not even tangible.
Yeah, or like that one said, it didn't even disturb the grass. It ain't like what you call, Robbie, memory foam feet like elephants got.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know if they ain't got memory foam feet, like you said, and like William said, if it's a supernatural entity, that would explain why it's not disturbing anything.
Yeah, very, very, very bizarre. But the description of the creature matches the Fresno Nightcrawler.
Yeah, different places and same types of same types.
And this was what, Texas?
Yeah.
So there's got to be some commonality because they're at least 1,000 miles apart.
Yeah, quite a bit, maybe more.
Yeah. Robbie, you want to segue us into the next one?
If mineral wells was the moment where the creature engaged, Missouri was the moment where the creature tested the boundary between outside and inside. Because in the next case, the pale crawler didn't just circle the structure; it tried to get under one. Segment 3 begins now.
This is known as the Missouri Barn Foundation incident. It happened here in rural Missouri. Basement crawler reports from 2003 all the way up to 2021. Ozark's anomalous humanoid sightings archives, sheriff call logs from Phelps, Pulaski, and Dent counties. And I can tell you right now, those counties don't connect. Pulaski and Phelps are a pretty good distance apart, and Dent's even farther. Pulaski's clear up by Fort Leonard Wood, so that's a pretty good chuck away, and Phelps is kind of southeast of me. These are disturbance and unknown animal calls from all three of those sheriff's departments. Witness interviews collected by independent field investigators and historical counts of sub-foundation entities in the Missouri River Valley. This is known as the thing beneath the boards. In rural Missouri, barns aren't just buildings. They're landmarks, old, weathered, and rooted deep into the soil. But sometimes the soil gives something back. The family who owned the barn heard it in early spring, the sound rising from beneath the floorboards, soft, irregular, and almost hesitant. Not the scurry of mice, not the digging of raccoons. Something heavier, something that dragged. At first they thought it was an animal trapped under the foundation, but animals don't move like that. They don't stop when you stop. They don't seem to be listening to you. And whatever was under that barn was definitely listening. One night the father went out with a flashlight. The animals were restless, horses pacing, dogs refusing to go near the barn door. He stepped inside and the temperature dropped. Not a breeze, not a draft, a sudden unnatural cold rising from the floor. Then the sound came again. A slow scrape. A pause, then another scrape. Closer this time, directly beneath his boots. He knelt down, pressing his ear to the old wooden boards. See, if I heard something scraping underneath my feet, I think I'm moving. I don't think I'm going to lean down to listen. But, he only heard silence, and then a slow breath. Not a human, not an animal, a long, hollow exhale that vibrated through the wood. He stumbled back, and the boards flexed just slightly, as if something was pushing upward from below. The next night, the family heard it again. This time, the scraping moved along the length of the barn, pacing beneath them, following their footsteps, matching their movements. The father pried up a loose board. Beneath it was a narrow gap, just a few inches of crawl space between the floor and the old stone foundation. Too small for a person, too tight for livestock. But something pale moved in the darkness. A long, white shape slid back into the shadows, retreating with a fluid, unnatural motion. He dropped the board and backed away, heart pounding in his chest. The next morning, they found marks along the foundation stones, thin grooves as if long fingers had dragged across the rock. A week later, the oldest daughter saw something worse. She was feeding the animals when she noticed a gap between two boards, one she hadn't seen before. Then she crouched to take a look, and a pale hand shot through, reaching for her. Long fingers, too many joints, skin stretched thin over the bone. It flexed once slowly, testing the air as if feeling around for her. She screamed, and the hand snapped back into the darkness with a speed that didn't match its earlier movements. The sheriff came out, checked the foundation, and found nothing. No animal, no intruder, no signs of forced entry. But the family refused to go back in that barn at night. And then came the final incident. Late one evening, the father heard the animals panicking again. He ran to the barn, flashlight shaking in his hands. The boards were moving. Not violently, not breaking, just rising, as if something beneath them was pushing upward, trying to lift itself into the room. He backed away slowly, watching the boards flex and settle, like a creature testing the strength of the barrier between its world and his. Then the movement stopped and the barn fell silent. Whatever was beneath the foundation withdrew, sinking back into the earth with a soft, receding scrape. The family moved within months. The barn still stands there, but locals say that on quiet nights when the wind dies and the animals grow restless, you can hear something moving beneath the floorboards, slow, patient, and hungry for space. This wasn't an observation. This wasn't circling. This was contact. The pale crawler wasn't just emerging. It was trying to come inside. I'd like to know where that's at. Sounds like a place to go check out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's different. So that means it can go under small spaces.
Nick's got a good point here. Hey Nick, he says, what if they're like cicadas, awakening to feast and go back into the ground? That's a very good possibility.
Could be.
Ryan, good point. I don't think I would have mag dumped into the floorboards, but I definitely would have had a pew-pew handy.
It would have been dodging poop through the floorboards. That's for sure.
So that thing obviously had to be tunneling up from beneath.
Yeah.
To get into that old stone foundation and the crawl spaces,
right.
There's no place it could have gotten in from the outside unless it came up from below.
Yeah, I mean, and then when he was that other encounter, that final encounter, it went back down and was not underneath the floorboard, the crawl space. So where's it going then?
No kid.
Marks.
Just the guy's got a point, Robbie. He says sounds like that, a lot like that Bain County book with the werewolves, dogmen, and the cicada-like hibernation underground.
Yep. They followed that same pattern as the cicadas did.
Well, that's interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, that I think that goes a little bit beyond just a sighting. It was trying to grab that girl.
Yeah, and they saw the marks that looked like had been made by little
right in the concrete.
Yeah.
I mean, and even the sheriff was like, "Yeah, there's no sign of anything," but yeah, this one's just weird.
Well, and something that caught my attention was how the temperature dropped. That's typically indicative of something very supernatural.
I agree.
Like that.
Which would kind of lend credence to the theory that there's some kind of ghoul.
Yeah, if the dogs wouldn't go in the barn and the temperature was cold in there, thank you, John. crawler seen by hunters saying help to lure him in.
Thank you, John Stein. Appreciate the super chat. Yeah, it very well could be a luring attempt.
Kind of like you hear, skinwalkers and everything mimicking people. The vocal.
William are absolutely right, but if the people moved, I may not have a way to track them down. But I could always talk to who lives there now.
Excuse me. Yeah, that's a good thought, William, for sure.
So that's rural Missouri. I mean, there's been a lot of Civil War battles fought here. This was highly disputed territory. And we are riddled with caves, at least 7,000 known caves.
Wow. And not only that, all the waterways that run underneath those caves, too.
Right, exactly.
Tons of waterways. I mean, Robbie, y'all got, how many, y'all up there in the Appalachian area, y'all got all kinds of underground. I mean, heck, go to Ruby Falls,
Yep.
Up in the Smokies. Northwoods. If you go imitate the sound of a snowmobile, you'll just get Wendigo showing up. Call them in, Robbie. Call them in. You nerve-wracking. Isn't it? Yeah, that's interesting, though. I mean, and they said the family left, but I would be interested. That would be interesting to find out if anybody who lives there now, if anybody still does live there.
Well, if anybody lives there now, if we could locate the actual place, then we could not only talk to the people that live there, they might even know who lived there before. But look at Palmyra, Maine. Even though that family moved out, the people that live there now are still having problems with dogman type creatures. So I would say there's a good chance it's ongoing.
I mean, because they've been there for a minute,
Unless it was something keyed in on that girl because she was the only one that actually went for.
True. That's a very good point.
Yeah, because sometimes if it is supernatural, what do? They attach to one person specifically. I don't know. And who was it? Ken McCune had a good point. Tunneling in from below from a tunnel system could explain a temperature drop if there's cold air flooding underneath.
Yeah, if it was coming up from underneath the floorboards,
so there could
like
be
it had been coming up for a while.
Right, there could be a scientific reason versus a supernatural reason. So that's actually
that's a great point.
Really good point.
So if it had opened a hole into a untapped cave system, it could easily explain why it got so cold in there because it literally had 60-degree air coming out of the ground.
Could be. That's good. That's a good theory. Didn't think about that. Interesting. Alrighty then.
We got about 7 minutes. Well, actually, we got longer than that. We've got 12 minutes before we do the commercials. We probably got time to read the next segment.
All right. Okay. You want me to segue into that, or?
Yeah, sure. Right. Yeah. So if Missouri was the moment the creature tested the barriers, the Pacific Northwest was the moment the creature followed the witness into open terrain. Because on those switchbacks, the pale crawler didn't hide beneath the floorboards. It moved above ground, and it moved with purpose. Doc, you want to take us into segment 4?
I'd be happy to. So we're going to call this one, this is up the Pacific Northwest, called the Switchback Stalker. Sources are from the Washington State Ridgewalker and Crawler sightings, 1998 to 2023. Oregon Backcountry Incident Reports for the unidentified humanoid category, and Pacific Crest Trail hiker testimonies, U.S. Forest Service ranger interviews, unofficial accounts, and then regional anomalous humanoid sightings archives. The thing that stayed one turn ahead. The Pacific Northwest is a cathedral of trees, towering, ancient, and dense enough to swallow sound. But on the switchbacks of the Cascade, silence isn't peace, it's a warning. The hiker who reported the encounter was experienced. They were solo backpacker, familiar with the terrain and not prone to panic. But on the second day of his trek, he felt something he couldn't explain, not watched, but tracked. It began with a sound behind him, soft and rhythmic and almost synchronized with his steps, not footsteps, not animal movement, something lower, something that scraped. And he stopped, the sound stopped. He continued, the sound continued. When he reached the next switchback, he glanced down the slope and something pale moved between the trees, really low to the ground, long limbed and gliding across the forest floor with a speed that didn't match the motion of the body. He froze. The creature froze back, and then it rose, not fully upright, but just enough to show its height, its narrow frame, and its unnatural proportions. It tilted its head, listening, and then it sank back down and disappeared behind a fallen log. He told himself it was just a trick of the light. It had to have been a deer, a person, anything but what it looked like. But the pattern continued. Every switchback, he saw the same exact thing: a pale shape appearing one turn below or above him, and always just at the edge of sight. Always still when he looked directly at it. He tried speeding up, and it matched his speed. He slowed down, and it slowed down too. And at one point, he thought he heard it breathing. A long, hollow exhale drifting up the slope, too controlled to be animal and too steady to be human. As dusk fell, the forest grew darker and the air grew colder, and he reached a narrow ridge where the trail cut sharply along a cliff face. He paused to catch his breath, and that's when he heard it. A soft thump, then another, then a dragging sound coming from the slope above him this time. He looked up, and a pale figure clung to the rock wall, its limbs bent at impossible angles and its body pressed flat against a stone like an insect. It moved sideways, slowly and deliberately, testing each hole with long, thin fingers. When it reached a point directly above him, it stopped. Its head rotated downward, too far and too smoothly, until it was staring straight at him. He stumbled back, nearly losing his footing, and the creature shifted as its limbs tightened as its body was coiling as if it prepared to descend. Then a branch snapped somewhere deeper in the forest, and the creature froze. Its head snapped toward the sound, and in a blur of motion, it scuttled across the rock face and vanished in the tree line. The hiker didn't stop moving until he reached camp. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat. He sat with a back to a tree, his knife in his hand, listening to the forest breathe. At dawn, he found tracks around his campsite, not footprints, but drag marks, long sweeping arcs in the pine needles circling the perimeter. The creature hadn't left. It had just waited for the dark. This wasn't emergence. This wasn't curiosity, as the first two we had. This is stalking, and the pale crawler, matching pace, controlling distance, and choosing when to reveal itself. The next case, it wouldn't stop at stalking. That's interesting.
Had one above him, like climbing like a spider down a rock face.
Like, dude, that's with long skinny fingers. That's creepy, dude. Yeah.
Someone mentioned, how do you stop one? I don't know that it's been tried.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so that shows that thing's got a lot of flexibility to move across a rock face and then scuttle up and scuttle sideways and go down and everything like that. So
I kind of think he was being stalked by more than one.
That's what I was wondering too, because if he's seen them above and below him all of a sudden, wouldn't he have heard them moving up and down like that?
You'd think.
Yeah.
Or maybe the one below was keeping his attention while the other one got into position above him.
Good point. Maybe they knew that switchback was the only natural pathway, and they were doing like those big feats with that park ranger and trying to funnel him towards a choke point.
This sounds like predatory behavior.
That does. Yeah, and then going around his camp at nighttime, finding those tracks and drag marks. That's interesting, man.
Yeah, that's definitely different. I mean, he's describing the same creature, but the behavior is kind of escalated. I wonder if that's because he was alone, or if maybe because he was isolated away from other folks, or they just at this point decided they wanted something warm and tasty.
Yeah, are all of the above, and he was also outnumbered, and so with them it's strength in numbers. Could be if it's predatory.
Oh, I agree. Now, these things are definitely freaky, and I don't know. I'm kind of with William that I believe they're supernatural, but that idea about cold air coming from the caves really kind of made me think about that. William's got a good comment. He says, I know often things like the pale crawler could be what my dark medicine parent would call out to attack people. Fleshing, a fleshing.
Hmm.
Huh.
I never
Well,
heard
I
that.
would say there's definitely something dark about these things, and to me, it sounds like they're subterranean, especially the way they keep cocking their heads to gauge distance, and I think their hearing is better than their eyesight.
Yeah.
PW, I would agree. That is definitely a scary situation. So, what would we do? I mean, we go out together and look for Bigfoot and Dogman stuff, but I don't know that I'm quite mentally prepared for a pale crawler sighting.
That, yeah. I don't know how I would react to that either.
Kevin Bode says dragon's breath. Because ain't nothing like getting set on fire. Miss Mossonay, it's at 5 till. It's the 5 minute window at the top of the hour. So almost there. We got 4 minutes. Thank you though. Appreciate you reminding me. What do you guys think? Do you think these are kind of like revenant creatures that stalk battlefields, or well, clearly they were hunting this guy and he ain't dead. He wasn't dead. Some sort of subterranean predator?
All of the above, man. I mean, honestly, the table's so wide open with these things. These are like the most hidiest of the hidies. You know what I mean? They're not.
Well, if I looked up and saw one ninja climbing across the rock face, that might very well be a brown pants moment.
Yeah,
That ain't right.
yeah. And like I said, man, I think these are just we know so little about them because somebody even mentioned in the comments earlier. How long have these sightings been around? Because I've only been hearing about them the last 10 years or so.
Well, historically, there are other sightings, but nobody really kind of connected them. There's creatures like this that have been reported by pretty much every civilization.
Hmm.
And Doc, you were in the Middle East, correct?
Yeah.
There's lots of Middle Eastern legends about creatures like this that inhabit graveyards and prey upon the unsuspecting.
You know, I think I did see a video.
Type of dark jinn.
Yeah, I saw a video somewhere out in the Middle East. These guys were in a graveyard, and it was it was like a small above ground crypt, and they saw something like that in that little above ground crypt. It was very similar to that.
Roxanne says, "What would a pale crawler do to a human?" I'm going to guess it's probably nothing good. I would go so far as to say they're probably going to eat you.
Yeah, Lima, Mike Foxtrot. I agree 100% with that sentiment.
Yeah, this is definitely a creepy history to it, and like I said, creatures like this in Europe they called them ghouls, they called them dark jinn in the Middle East. The Japanese have another name for it. I can't remember what it is, but it's a similar type creature. So it's not just a local phenomenon. People for centuries, maybe even thousands of years, have been reporting seeing something like this, especially in and around graveyards. Rodney says some paranormal researchers argue that cemeteries can be spawning grounds or portals from the demonic realm rather than places for human ghosts. That's kind of terrifying to think about.
Yeah.
Darcy's Den says, I've been hearing about sightings of those things in the middle of Wisconsin in areas that are still farmland. They're stalking the large farm animals out there. That's creepy. William says some of the people would call them the big W, but never Wendigo, but never had a report of eating the ancestors.
Right.
I would like to look in to see, William. Maybe you could help me out on that. Look into to see with what different Native American tribes had different legends, maybe even under different names, because maybe this might help explain the origin of the Wendigo. But anyway, it's time for us to take a quick break. Be an awesome time for everybody to fold the dishes, walk the dog, whatever you grab some coffee, whatever you guys need to do, and we will be right back after paying the bill. So see you guys in just a minute.
The new book, How to Research a Haunted House by paranormal investigator Margie Kay and professional researcher Violet Wisdom, is now available from Unex Media. This one-of-a-kind book explains how to do research on a house with uncommon methods and resources used by historic home researchers, and how to determine who may be doing the haunting and why. How to Research a Haunted House can be used by homeowners, renters, investors, and it should be in the library of all professional paranormal investigators. Get this unique book at unexmedia.com or amazon.com. That's unexmedia.com or amazon.com.
Hey everybody, this is Kerry Pocket Doc Davis from Dark Angel Medical, and you are listening to DA Ex Machina with DA Roberts. You may recognize me or some of my products from Dark Angel Medical in some of the Apex Predator, Lakeview Man, and Wild Hunt books, and you can get those products at www.darkangelmedical.com, along with training classes on how to use those products and save a life. Shoot us an email at info@darkangelmedical.com and be the difference.
In a world where monsters still walk the earth, one author dares to face them. From the brutal cryptid horror of the Apex Predator series to the Ozark legends that stalk the night in Lakeview Man, from the elite warriors of codename Wild Hunt to the relentless investigations of the Nightmare Hunter and the frontier terror of Dark Frontiers. When the dead rise, the Ragnarok Rising saga unleashes pure zombie apocalypse fury. And across the stars, war rages in the Lost Legion and Man's Marauders. And in the realm of myth and steel, the world of Vanguard calls to those born for legend. Cryptids, zombies, sci-fi warfare, epic fantasy. This is the universe of D.A. Roberts.
And we are back, folks. I just want to say a quick thanks to Kevin Bode for the gifted memberships. That is awesome. And there was another one right back there, right after the first commercial started. Ventus Bruma gave us a super chat. He said, speaking of supernatural, I wonder if some of these things are thought forms created by the internet, specifically the rake. I remember when the forums in the early 2000s spawned both that and Slender Man. I think the creepypastas were, well, the Slender Man one was definitely completely made up, but I think the rake was just tying in on something older, because there are stories from all over the planet of something similar to the rake that way predates the internet. So maybe the rake itself, the title, the rake, was made up, but I think it was based on something that people were already seeing. But, you know, congratulations to everybody that won the gifted memberships. And Kevin, thank you again, brother. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Man, I'm sorry, guys. My nose is
no worries, brother.
Excuse me. Yes.
Okay, so where were we? Oh, yeah, we were talking about the switchback thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, if the Pacific Northwest was the moment the creature closed the distance, on the Navajo Nation was the moment the creature tried to breach a home.
Ooh.
Because in the next case, the pale crawler didn't just stalk from the trees, it pressed its body against walls and tried to force its way inside. Robbie, you want to take segment 5, brother?
The crawl space beneath, or the crawl space breach attempt. Navajo Ranger case notes, unexplained humanoid category, tribal police incident reports, window vent intrusion calls, multifamily witness testimony, Arizona, New Mexico border region, oral histories of subterranean entities in the DNA tradition, and
Danae.
yeah, what he said. Independent field investigator interviews from 2009 to 2022 are the sources for this one.
The Navajo called themselves the Danae.
The thing that tried to come inside. On the Navajo Nation, the desert night is a living thing, wide, silent, and watchful. But in one small community near the Arizona New Mexico border, the silence didn't just watch, it pressed against the walls. The family first noticed something was wrong when the dogs refused to go near the crawl space vent. They stood rigid, hackles raised, staring at the dark opening beneath the house, growling low and backing away. That night, the youngest son woke to a sound beneath the floor, a slow, deliberate dragging, like something pulling itself across the hard-packed earth. He held his breath, and the sound stopped. Then it came again, closer, directly under his bed. He ran to his parents' room. They listened. Nothing. But the next night, the sound returned. This time, the father went outside with a flashlight. The desert was still. The air was cold. The crawl space vent hung open. Its screws loosened. The metal bent outward as if something had pushed from the inside. He crouched down and shone his light inside the darkness. Two pale shapes slid back into the shadows. Not eyes, not reflection. Something moving, smooth, silent, and too large for the space it occupied. He staggered back, and the vent cover rattled once sharply, as if something inside had struck it. Family called the tribal police. Officers arrived, checked the crawl space, and found nothing. No animal, no intruder, just disturbed soil and long drag marks leading from deeper beneath the house. They told the family to keep the vent secured and the lights on, but the lights don't stop what comes from below. 2 nights later, the daughter woke up to a tapping sound on her bedroom wall. Not knuckles, not nails, but something softer, something that dragged between taps. She froze. The tapping moved from the wall to the floor to the vent. Then the metal grill flexed. It didn't rattle, didn't shake, it flexed, as if something was pressing its face against it from the other side. She screamed, and her father burst into the room. The vent snapped back into place, and something pale slid out of sight beneath the floorboards. The family fled the house and waited outside for the police. When officers arrived, they heard it too, a slow, rhythmic scraping beneath the floor, moving from room to room, following their footsteps. One officer knelt and pressed his ear to the boards. He jerked back instantly. He said he heard something breathing, long, hollow, and too close. They opened the crawl space door and found their lights inside. The beam caught a pale shape retreating to the far corner. Long limbs, folding, body compressing, moving with a fluidity that didn't match its size. It didn't flee and it didn't attack. It simply withdrew into the dark as if waiting for the lights to go out. The officers sealed the crawl space and stayed until dawn. When the sun rose, they found new drag marks in the soil, long sweeping grooves circling the perimeter of the house. The creature hadn't left, it had simply changed its approach. This wasn't observation, this wasn't stalking. This was breach behavior, a pale crawler testing the boundary between outside and the inside, probing the structure, mapping the family's movements and choosing the moment to push harder. And in the next case, it won't stop at the walls.
Oh, important safety tip: if you're going to build a house on the Navajo res, pour a solid concrete floor,
Yeah, no crap, man.
at least 8 inches thick,
Yeah, that's
reinforced with steel.
so. Those, I mean, this thing can move in really tight spaces. What we've been seeing. That means
Well,
it's
the way they describe it moving fluidly, maybe it's not built like we are. What if its whole body is built like a shark? It's just cartilage.
yeah, yeah,
That would explain why it could squeeze through spots.
yeah. It's very interesting, man. It's very
Or
interesting.
or even like a cephalopod, like an octopus.
Yeah.
That thought doesn't bear examining.
That is.
Well, cuttlefish mimic their surroundings.
Mhm.
What if this is just a cave-dwelling form of something like that tunnels through the softer parts of the ground and can mimic shapes? What if it's some sort of subterranean cephalopod? That I'm grasping at straws here. That's just something I just thought of. But what if it?
Probably the
what-
smartest creatures on the planet?
Yeah.
If you really think about it.
Yeah, if it really was built like an octopus or a cuttlefish, it could learn to mimic forms.
Well, and like cephalopods and everything like that. Those things are strong, man. Way
They're
stronger.
incredibly strong.
Way stronger than people think they are.
And like I said,
Greg House says 12 gauge makes jelly go splat. Marcus Antonio says, I'll say it again, these things are aquatic. Dude, you could definitely be onto something here. I mean, I just literally thought of the cephalopod angle.
What were you saying, Robbie?
I said they're very, very intelligent too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like the one I remember, y'all probably seen the video. They put that octopus in the jar, and it unscrewed the jar and got itself out.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, they put the treat in the jar and screwed the lid shut and put it in there, and the octopus figured out how to get the lid open and get its treat out.
Yeah, I've seen that one, but there was one they actually had the octopus in a jar and it unscrewed it from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I'm saying is they've done it both ways.
Yeah, it's crazy how these things are excellent problem solvers and just like these things, they can fit into they almost kind of like mold. For a better word, lack of a better word, they kind of mold to whatever space they're in.
Well, that's the thing about an octopus or a squid. It can squeeze through any opening it can get its beak through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, that's the only hard part of the body.
Mm-hmm. So what if it is kind of a fluidic kind of cephalopod form, and the reason why it's unable to walk like we do is because it's not designed to walk that way.
True.
Would explain why it was, gungeeing across a rock face.
Well, just think about the movie Mimic. That's exactly the premise of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was cockroaches instead of cephalopods.
Yeah, Mimic was a good movie, but the thought of this being some sort of predatory cephalopod subterranean, dude, I think that's more scary than the ghoul concept.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Vincent Calamari, Vinny the Squid.
Exactly. You fry it up, Robbie. I'll bring the marinara sauce.
I'm honestly a little freaked out by that. I mean,
that's a different one. So look at the behavioral stuff we talked about. How it pushed the vent out, and testing against stuff, pressing against stuff, and following footsteps, and pressing against the walls and the vents. It's tracking where it's checking access points, man.
Right, and how it was moving underneath the floorboards of like that barn that was too narrow for a person or an animal to get in there.
Right.
Well, there's been scientists who've talked, and I think I even heard this on Monster Quest, where they said if a few things had been different here and there, and obviously this is getting into a different line of thinking than I normally would think with, but this is just the line that they said was a few things have been different here and there, cephalopods could have been the dominant species on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
They're so smart and so adaptable. You take the plot of Mimic and apply it to a group of cephalopod creatures living underground that decide they want to start pushing their way up.
Well, and think about this. That also lends credence to this theory that I'm just about to say. The long, slow exhale. That's been the common theme, right? With the exhalation. So those things, if it's like a cephalopod type material, it probably have, instead of lungs, just have a big air bladder, and that holds a lot of air, and so before it refills. I don't know. I'm again spitballing, but
that makes a horrifying amount of sense, though.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it from a biological, scientific standpoint. If it's a long, slow exhale, longer than a human, who knows? Could just be it could be emptying and refilling an air bladder.
So, folks, before we go too much deeper into this, what do you guys think? Do you guys think it could be some sort of intelligent cephalopod? You think it could be a type of ghoul? Is it something we haven't even talked about? What do you guys think? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yes, please.
Vincent Tipping was saying they found tentacle scratches on massive whales. It was a giant squid. Yeah. They found sucker marks that were bigger than basketballs on the side of whales.
Seriously?
Well, sperm whales eat. That's the sperm whale's favorite food is squid. Now they found what he's talking about. They found them on. I think a bull sperm whale usually tops out at about 55, 60 feet, something like that. And they found scrapes and sucker impressions size of a basketball.
Good.
Because normally those things are down deep, and they'll go down deep to get them. And I mean, it ain't an easy meal,
dude. That's
just the guy said, would that cephalopod thing also explain why they're so fast? Well, look how fast squids can move, especially in water.
Yeah, that is very, very.
Dude, that's freaking terrifying.
Yeah, that's an interesting theory right there. Dude, a sucker bigger than a basketball. That's like that's like covers our back and chest. You know what I mean?
You heard it here first, folks. It may be crazy, but we thought of it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, very interesting hypothesis too.
Well, and do the math on that, Doc. If the sucker is the size of a basketball, that means the beak on a specimen like that is. You're probably looking at something that's the size of the jaws of life or bigger.
I was thinking something about 2 feet, something about at least a couple of feet.
You're basically looking at being drugged to a hearse tool.
Yeah, exactly. And that thing's going to slice you in half, dude. If they get you, because those beaks are like when they close over, it's like a scissor. It's a shear.
Yeah,
Leonard, that's as good a theory as anything we've come up with, brother. Keep throwing those theories out there, folks. We don't know. We don't have enough information to make anything more than an educated guess. What is it? I don't want to say it since we're on the radio, but a swag.
Scientific wild guess.
Yep, that's the one.
Yep.
But yeah, that makes as much sense as anything. PW says, imagine him having venomous ink. And Arlen says, could be a creature mutated by a birth defect.
Number of things.
Greg House says they say the bite on a giant squid can go through a steel cable.
Just want me about that shearing action that it's got.
Bobby Singleton says a water-filled cave becomes a high-speed highway. And since a lot of those caves do flood at lots of different times of the year, well, that could also take that into another cryptid. It might actually tie it into, if our cephalopod theory has any weight. The Luska, that thing that keeps showing up in blue holes and dragging people and they never find them.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Interessante.
That's some great theories, folks.
Yeah.
You guys have got some great ideas. Rodney says, well, if they're seen at night near cemeteries or burial grounds, it would only make sense to link them to grave sites. Yeah. Marcus says, does anything that lives in total dark look like anything like a horrifying monster? What happened to good old-fashioned hamsters?
Miss Lene's wondering what a Luska is.
The Luska is a creature that's been reported primarily in the Caribbean islands, but also in other places around the world. They have these extremely deep places inside on these islands. They call them blue holes because they're super deep. In a lot of cases, they don't have a bottom or the one that they can find. But people will go swimming in these blue holes, and they'll be swimming along and just go and are never seen again. And the one theory was that it was some sort of giant cephalopod that was dragging them down into the depths and off into those caves where they can't get to them.
That's not terrifying.
And in fact, one guy who survived what he called a Luska attack had sucker marks on his leg. He said it was the Luska, and he barely survived.
That scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, that is definitely not worth dreaming about, because that's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
So, but it would explain the weird, jerky, like extra joints motion.
Yeah.
And the way it seems to just kind of fold upward instead of standing up like a person would.
Mm-hmm.
And how it can get so low to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We may have hit on something. It might sound crazy, but when you really kind of hold it up to the light, it checks a lot of the boxes.
Yeah.
It explains a lot of it.
And it could, instead of a 8-legged cephalopod, it could be a 4-legged one, and that's the reason it moves like that with
right.
the stomping and dragging sound,
right?
Because if you notice, all the trackways that they talked about were kind of sweeping and almost.
Well, there are different kinds of cephalopods with different numbers of appendages.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there's one they call the decapod that has 10.
Oh wow! But you think about this pattern, Robbie, like the trackway, all of them had the same little sweeping perimeter, which would kind of be like something long.
As stupid as it is to reference this, but think about SpongeBob and think about how Squidward walks. He's got two, but think about it. He's got two tentacles that make up each foot, and then one tentacle that makes up each arm.
Yeah.
So
exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking, man.
But as stupid as it is to reference that,
that's the best example.
That could be something what you're talking about, and why it moves the way it does is because it's using more than one appendage to make. You know what I mean?
Which is why it moves smoother if it drops down to 2 or down to 4 instead of 2.
Here's a crazy thought for you. Harold Goodell says, but aren't dogmen associated with cemeteries? Kind of bear with me here. If these things are subterranean, some sort of intelligent cephalopods, and Bigfoot and Dogman are fairly nocturnal, subterranean, like we've postulated, what if these things only come up because their prey came up? What if they hunt dogman?
Well, I mean, do you have sightings of dogmen in those areas where those things have
There are
been
a lot of
sighted?
dogman sightings in and around graveyards. And there are dogman sightings in pretty much every location that we've talked about tonight. In fact, the Texas Dogman Triangle is one of the biggest dogman corridors.
Yeah, that's down around the Mineral Well sighting.
Right there, smack in the middle of Zone Delta.
Yeah.
Or it could be
So,
the other way around.
yeah.
Because I would think a
Could be dogman wants some calamari.
predatory. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. I would think it would probably maybe these like we said, maybe these things run on a cycle. And if a cave starts flooding, it pushes them up. And when it pushes them up, they get to a spot where they either go up or they're calamari to Dogman and Bigfoot.
Right. Karen, you're exactly right. That thing was some sort of intelligent cephalopod.
Was it
Species something.
species 487 or
Something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but the Russians found it under Lake Baikal in Antarctica.
Interesting.
or like X487 or something, some designation.
I don't know.
You're welcome.
Sorry, I was sending something to the to the mods.
You're welcome, Harold. That's what I'm here for.
I don't know about you boys, but I think that cephalopod theory it makes a lot of sense now that we're starting to apply it.
It's definitely plausible. I mean, why not? Nobody really knows what this thing is. I mean, that's as plausible a theory as anything else. And
Well, if it's moving under floorboards where there's not enough space for a regular solid person, I mean, unless it's the Shmoo from the 1970s cartoons, what else could explain why it could squeeze into places like that?
Right.
And crawl spaces. And, my stupid ring light just fell off. Hang on just a second. I will be right back. I got to go fix my ring light.
Gummit, Bobby.
Dang it, Bobby.
Take your ring light off. You're scaring Ladybird.
I think that's a good hypothesis, though, man. It really is.
Well, I mean, that's the beauty about stuff like this is you really can't have a theory that's. I mean, let me rephrase that. You can't have theories that are too far out there, but when you get a theory that just kind of like checks all the boxes, like DA was just saying, and I mean, stranger things have happened.
I mean, again, like I said, I mean, it's just as plausible as any of the other theories out there. You know what I mean? I mean, why not? And biologically, scientifically, it fits. You know what I mean? For sure. So, yeah, that's interesting, man. Yeah, I just know that I don't want to see one anytime. I can go the rest of my life peacefully without seeing one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, as plausible as it is, it's even scarier to think about if it is true.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I'm no SpongeBob fan, but if I saw Squidward walking up to me, I probably think it would be another paradigm shift on top of anything else that we've ever even thought about.
Yeah.
You hear turn around and look at things walking towards you. I mean,
well, I mean, you think about it from a physiological standpoint. What do all the reports say? It's like a very small body and head and long, slender appendages.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it seems to move where its joints seem to flex where there should not be a joint.
And extra joints.
Right, because let's think about the supernatural thing. We were talking about supernatural earlier, and something caught my eye and my ear when Robbie was reading the graveyard, the thing down in Mineral Wells. And if it was supernatural and it's behind the gravestone, couldn't it materialize through the gravestone? If it was an apparition, versus what did the story say? It unfolded its legs and came over the top of the gravestone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a physical being right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So maybe it's not supernatural at all.
Maybe not.
Maybe we may be onto something with this creepy cephalopod theory.
Could be.
I mean, like Doc said, it makes as much sense as anything else. I mean,
Greg House says, for anyone that would be with me and see one, you better plug your ears because it's about to get very loud.
Yeah.
Northwood says maybe you need a samurai sword to deal with the crawlers. Never underestimate the power of an edged weapon.
Yes, for sure.
So, okay, let's just kind of take a kind of a quick audience poll. How many of you guys are on board with the cephalopod theory? You just say yes or no.
fried calamari.
Yeah, the big old hunking calamari. So, what do you guys think? Anybody on board? Sherry Gale says no. Arlen says yes.
Vincent says yes. Brian says yes. Ed says yes.
Getting a few no's, mostly yeses.
Julie says yes. Gary says no. Darcy says maybe. Bobby says yes. Uncivil Engineers 50-50. Just a Guy says somewhat. Moonchild says no. Curtis says yes. Just a Guy says 50-50. Heavy B says no. So I seem like it's predominantly yes, but there's a couple of possibilities.
But yeah, see, that's the beauty of this is we don't know if we're right. I mean, any theory you guys have come up with, any theory any of us have come up with has just as good a chance of being right as any others. So, well, I just was kind of getting a feel for who thought we were onto something here. It might not be the answer, but it's one that certainly does explain a lot.
Yeah, and like T. Davis says, no bone structure supports the theory.
Yeah. That
it is what it is. We're not saying that. We're just saying that this happens to fit.
Yeah.
Curtis Murray says, just curious, could tongue pops mean something different for subterranean creatures? Oh, absolutely. I mean, just like at extreme depth, bioluminescence means different things to different creatures. Some creatures use it for reproduction. Others see it as light means lunch. So, yeah, I would think the tongue pops, some would use it for navigation, but something like that may key in on that and say, hey, we got something moving. Let's go see if we can eat it.
Moonchild says she's just saying no because the thought of yes is horrifying.
And it might be horrifying, but I'm not trying to get everybody convinced of this cephalopod theory, but it does make a lot of sense. Mary Cole says she hadn't thought of the shmoo in years. Yeah, so it's either a cephalopod or a shmoo. I mean, that's really the only way you can be moving through some of those tight spaces.
Like Uncivil Engineer said, the glowing scorpions. There's the bark scorpions appear white, but if you put a UV light on them, black light on them, they glow. So maybe these pale crawlers are like that and just have that. If they're that type of species, who knows?
It makes a lot of sense. I mean,
and like I said, stranger things have happened, and we've got just as much a chance of being right as the next guy.
Yeah, that's true, and that's why we have discussions like this, folks, is to share the ideas and get your input on things. I mean, like I said, anybody that claims they're an expert in this field's lying to you. There are no experts. We don't know any more than the next guy. We just put a lot of time researching cryptids and doing these shows and putting time spent out in the field. So, maybe we've got a little more research behind us than the average person, but that doesn't necessarily mean we know any more than anyone else. We don't claim to be experts, and we're never gonna.
Well, Lima Mike Foxtrot had a good point too. He's like, if there's a cephalopod, it would need some sort of moisture source to be above ground and for an extended period of time, which maybe is a reason if they come up, they can go back down. They don't come up too far. They have maybe a limited range, so they
don't come up during the day,
right? When it dry out more,
right?
Yeah, that's a good
Northwood says, I wonder how much the government knows about pale crawlers. Probably more than they will ever tell us.
Yeah, more than we do. Definitely more than we do, man.
Barry Beezer says, sounds like you're describing the season 1 dude from X-Files that was moving through very small spots. Could be. I mean, it's very similar, yeah.
Well, let's find out how close we are. DA, look outside, see if the bush has moved a little bit closer to the house.
Nope, it's still where it was.
Okay, so maybe we're not on something. If the bush
they're changing shifts.
Well, that could be too. But I'd say if the bushes move closer, then they're like, what are they saying in there?
Exactly.
Actually, we can generally tell when we're hitting close to the head when we start having technical issues.
Yeah. It's always
weird, huh?
Weird.
Or trolls.
Clayton Plot says, why do you think they don't break the window instead of pushing through the floors? If they can't see it, all they feel is something solid. They may be looking for weak points.
Right.
They may not know the difference, especially if their vision is as bad as a creature that evolved in zero light sources, involved in total darkness in caves. Maybe all it feels is a solid shape. It doesn't know what's breakable and what's not.
Probing. Well, yeah.
Doc, you want to segue us into segment 6?
I was just about to ask you that. So we've talked about all these other encounters where we've gotten to the point of near contact. So at the Navajo Nation was the moment the creature pressed against those walls. Kentucky was the moment the creature took someone into the dark, because in the next case, the pale crawler didn't just try to enter a home. It waited in a mine shaft, and only one person came back out.
And this is the story where y'all might just be a little more on board with the cephalopod theory. This is known as the Kentucky Mine Shaft Disappearance. It's Mammoth Cave System Ranger interviews, Kentucky Abandoned Mine Land Incident Reports, Unidentified Humanoid Category, Caver Missing Person Case Clusters from the 1970s to the 2020s, local newspaper archives from Ohio County and Edmonson County, and independent investigator testimony from the Green River Valley region. The dark that took someone back. Kentucky is a land of hollows and hidden places. Thousands of miles of caves, abandoned mines, and underground rivers. Places where the dark isn't just absence, it's habitat. Two friends, both experienced explorers, entered an abandoned mine outside of Edmonson County just before dusk. They weren't thrill seekers, they were surveyors, checking old shafts for structural collapse. Their first 100 yards or so were uneventful. Cool air, loose stone, and the distant drip of water echoing through the tunnels. Then the sound changed. At first, it was just a faint scrape. Not behind them, ahead of them. They froze and listened. The scrape came again, slow, deliberate, like something dragging itself across stone. They called out, but there was no answer. So they moved a little deeper, beams from their helmet light cutting through the darkness. The tunnel had narrowed, and the ceiling was getting a little lower, and the walls were kind of closing in. Things were getting a little tight. And that's when they found the first sign. Long drag marks in the dust. Parallel grooves, too wide for tools, too narrow for boots. The marks led deeper into the mine. One of the men decided he wanted to turn back, but the other insisted they were too close to the old survey point to stop now. They continued. The air grew colder, not naturally cold. A sudden, unnatural chill that felt like stepping into a space that hadn't been disturbed in a very long time. Then they heard it. Breathing. Not human, not animal. Doc, this is where your point here. A long, hollow exhale that echoed through the stone, as if the mine itself were inhaling and exhaling around them. Their lights started to flicker. Something moved at the edge of the beam of light. A pale shape sliding across the floor, low and fast, retreating into a side tunnel. They backed up, and the shape followed them. Not rushing, not lunging, just gliding forward with slow, predatory confidence, as if it knew the tunnel better than they did. They turned and ran. The tunnel twisted and their light shook, but the breathing grew louder and closer, as if the creature were moving along the walls, not the floor. They reached a fork. One man veered left, the other went right. The one who escaped said he heard his friend shout, not in pain, but in shock, as if something had grabbed him from the darkness. He turned back, shining his light into the passage. A pale shape moved just out of reach, long limbs folding, body compressing, retreating deeper into the mine with a speed that didn't match his size. He called his friend's name, but there was no answer. He stepped forward, and the breathing started again, right beside him. Too close and too low, so he ran. When he reached the entrance, he didn't stop until he was back at the truck, shaking, gasping, unable to explain what he'd just seen. Search teams arrived within the hour. They found the fork. They found the drag marks. They found the drop flashlight, its lens cracked, and its beam pointing into a narrow side passage. But they never found the man. Not that night, not the next night, not ever. The official reports listed him as missing, but unofficial accounts, the ones the Rangers tell quietly away from the public, say something else. They say the mine took him, or something inside it did. This wasn't an emergence. It wasn't a stalking. This wasn't a breach attempt. It was pure predation. A pale crawler using the terrain it owns, the darkness it understands, and the tunnels it calls home. And in Kentucky, the dark doesn't just hide things. It keeps them. That sounds an awful lot like a cephalopod.
Killer calamari.
Yeah, and those drag marks is where everything's like moving along the ground as it locomotes.
Locomotes.
It locomotes, man. Locomotion. It ain't.
Miss LeMay says, "Okay, now I may never sleep again."
Hey, killer calamari is no joke.
You ain't wrong.
Hey, and look at that. That's part of the Mammoth Cave system. Look how far that could go.
True.
Yeah, across the dang country.
Northwood's got a good question. He said, "I wonder if there's a connection between the pale crawler and the Philippine aswang."
Maybe. The Filipinos do describe a similar creature.
Crawlamari. That's funny, Marcus Antonius. Crawlamari.
Hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
Marklin, why do you have a chainsaw? Tree squids.
Missouri tree squids.
Roxanne says she's going to be dreaming of something slimy crawling on her. Marcus Antonius says crawlamari.
I just said that.
Greg says, I wonder if wasabi would repel him. Chase him with chopsticks and a sharp filleting knife.
I don't know, but if one gets got in the South, it's going to get deep fried. I can guarantee you that.
In Louisiana, they'll fix it into a gumbo.
It'll be a gumbo, yes.
House, prepare the fish oil.
Big old calamari fish fried house's place.
Yeah, that's weird. That's weird. But the fact that it grabbed him and he was gone like what, Robbie? How was he gone?
Fart in the wind.
Like a fart in the wind. So that dude was gone, and they found that flashlight. So I was thinking, I was like, well, what if he fell down another shaft or a hole or something? But there wasn't one there. It was just the flashlight with the drag marks.
He didn't RUNNOFT.
Yeah, exactly. He got.
Yeah, he done got.
Yeah, and so I was thinking, well, maybe he fell down a hole. Nope, no hole.
And they never found him.
Not that night. Not the next night.
Not any night.
He done
All they
been
found was that busted flashlight pointing down a side tunnel.
It's too late. He done been incensed.
That's right.
Don't look at the
Rolled him up in a sushi wrap.
with some seaweed preserves.
Yeah, that's freaking terrifying.
Yeah, man.
And again, look at the way it moved. And that long, steady exhale.
And it moved during in complete darkness with absolute accuracy. You know what I mean?
Okay. Here's the thing. Yes, this is a extremely goofy theory on face value.
Okay, shoot.
But pull up any YouTube or National Geographic video of an octopus walking on dry land. Watch an octopus crawl on dry land, and then go back and listen to the things that the three of us have just read, and then tell me how crazy it sounds.
And look at the trackway of it too. Look at the parallel drag tracks.
Because the head pretty much stays central while the legs are moving all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
After we talked about this and I started thinking about it, I could see those videos in my mind every time we talked about how they moved. I'm like,
okay, I'm going to show this video, and I claim usage under fair use. We're only going to show a few seconds of it. If I can get it to play.
Dun, dun,
There we go.
dun, dun, dun.
What'd that look like?
Nightmares.
Nightmare Fuel?
I mean, I'm just saying. I may be ignorant sometimes, but
You've got a very good point here, though.
That's a really good point, bro. Yeah. You smarter than you look.
and I don't look very smart, so that's saying something.
I mean, that's a really good point there, Robbie. I like that. Again, I mean, in the realm of possibilities, is it possible? Why not? It's just as much as anything else out there.
I mean, here's the thing, Doc. If the three of us believe that there's a 8 to 10 foot, North American primate out there that can pick up a 450-pound barrel full of diesel fuel and chuck it down a ravine,
Right.
how much crazier is it to believe that there's one of those that can stand up and chase you?
Correct. I mean, it's
Or
the same vein, dude.
Or that there are some species that resembles what we would call a werewolf in some certain circles, just walking around. I mean, so really, in the grand scheme of things, how crazy is that?
Right. It's not. It's not
Exactly.
at all. Yeah. I mean, it's
You
just
see those things moving across the ground? It's
Yeah.
very much like how they say it just kind of...
it almost like it glides. Almost like it glides.
Yep.
It flows. Very interesting.
Good one, Don. Not to repeat it, but good one.
Yeah, I can't say that on the air, but very funny.
I find your assertion rather hilarious.
But if we're looking at crawl space too narrow for a person to crawl through, and you can hear something kind of dragging its way across, that makes perfect sense.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, like we talked about, look at all the experiments that scientists have done on these things, and they can get into things and out of things that are like, their body's like this and the space is like this, but they can get in and out of that. They can force their bodies into and out of spaces that should not be their body should not be able to occupy.
Lone Queen says sliding has been a word I've seen describing their motion, and it would certainly explain why one of them was Spider-Man across a rock face.
100%.
I'm not saying that pale crawlers and rakes are some sort of as well. They're all intelligent, but some sort of cephalopod. But I'm saying that the theory does hold some water
Yeah.
or swims in it.
or swims in it.
Well, and again, how much have we talked about the subterranean waterways?
Right.
Oh my God, dude, that's like a super freeway. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's an interstate system, literally.
Yeah.
Well, even if it's not in the flooded state, there's still plenty of water in these cave systems that makes a super highway for things like that. If that was real, I mean, if they are real, rather, they've still got a super highway, regardless of whether it's, overly flooded or not.
Correct.
Right.
And it's a super highway for the others if it's not flooded. I mean, these cave systems, I hate to use the monarch terminology from the Godzilla stuff, but I mean, when something works, it works.
Right. Miss Laces are giving her the heebie-jeebies.
Sorry, Miss Nay. Sorry.
And the jeebies.
Heebies and the jeebies.
I did not go into this show thinking cephalopod.
Neither
No,
did
I was thinking some sort of Wendigo relation or a ghoul. But this is even taking a turn I didn't see coming.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. How we started talking about, you're like, could be something supernatural. Then we started talking about the characteristics of it. We're like, hey,
it does fit a lot of the description.
Like Robbie said, it's just as plausible as Dogman and anything else.
I mean,
why not?
I mean, if we're looking for a logical, known creature that could fit,
Right.
I mean,
100%.
Yeah, like I said, pun intended, theory does hold some water.
Yeah, it does, man. It does.
and there. Look at it this way: mud skippers. Anybody know what those are?
Yeah, they stay.
That fish that can survive out of water for long extent. Snakeheads.
Yeah, snakeheads.
The kids too.
There's
Even catfish.
There are fish that can survive out of water for long extended periods of time. They could be just like that. Well, regular octopus can survive out of water for an extended period of time. I don't know how long that is, because octopi are not my area of study in the marine biological field. I don't know as much about them as I do the sharks.
Yeah, I don't either.
I'm going to consult the Googles about how long an octopus can stay out of water.
How long can said octopi occupy space without water?
Okay. This says most cephalopods, particularly octopi, can survive out of water for 20 to 60 minutes, though some species can survive for several hours if kept moist and cool. They rely on breathing through their skin, cutaneous respiration, when their gills collapse, enabling them to navigate between tide pools. What's that?
I said, I wonder what that would sound like, Doc. They're breathing through their skin.
Mm-hmm. So maybe not an air bladder because of the pressurization changes, but
An NOAA study found that 87% of octopuses survived being out of water for over 21 days in tanks, provided they were uninjured initially.
Wow. Dang. Kevin Bode said there's freshwater jellyfish. We have them in Indiana. Huh. Interesting.
I've heard of those.
I have not. Yeah, that's very interesting right there. Huh.
That cephalopod theory is starting to sound better and better.
Yeah,
Well, like I said, when the glove fits,
mm-hmm.
quit.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
So, all right, let's do another quick poll. Of those of you guys who weren't on board with the theory before, after hearing that last story and what we've been watching and looking up on cephalopods, how many of you are no longer on the fence? So let's see how many yeses and how many nos we've got now. Just curious.
And go.
And go. Bobby, I was thinking about that. The Oklahoma octopus, about the octopus seen in trees.
Meeksy says they're wicked smart.
They're from South Boston.
Wicked smart kid.
Wicked smart.
Whose car we taking?
Looks like we're getting a lot of yeses this time.
Yeah, they are.
I haven't seen any no's so far.
Dun, dun, dun.
McKinley XX says, here's another point I've heard. They feed on blood, perhaps, to stay hydrated. Robin Raves, she's a maybe. Just a guy says he's 75-25 now. McKinney XX, McKinley says 60-40.
Hmm.
It looks like we might have brought a few around. This theory just makes sense.
Meeksy, I'm from Colorado, so there you go.
Like I said, but we came up with the name. I just
Zones?
lost it. No, not zones. What where they communicate with the clicking?
Oh, the echolocation?
Echolocation. God almighty, I couldn't think of that word to save my life. We came up with that on the show.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. So why not?
Words
like I said, folks, if this theory takes off, you heard it here first.
By God.
Well, I mean, think about the Teddy Roosevelt theory we came up with on the show, and now all of a sudden, every other big show or big channel is talking.
I know it's just a matter of time till that zone theory starts gaining some traction.
Yeah. Yep.
Miss Lene reminded us we got 3 minutes till ad time.
Dun, dun, dun.
Time to make the donuts.
Moonchild says maybe they come out at night for the dew point. If there's water on the grass, it keeps them hydrated.
I was thinking earlier.
Skids. There are certain types of squids that only come out at night.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. If it's the dew point's up,
we know if we know one thing for sure about cephalopods is they're extremely adaptable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think the Humboldt squid is the one that only comes out at night, or not only, but that it's more active when it's nighttime.
Northwood says mark the date on the notebook.
Well, and Long Queen had a good point earlier. She was talking about, well, I think it was her, maybe it's Lead Lace Anarchy. But someone said, what if they have a slime layer, like a frog, like catfish have a slime layer that keeps them from getting dried out. If they're
right.
And Vincent, yes, certain squid their eyes do glow with certain light shine. I think the giant squid's one of them that does that because that's how they've actually seen some at night on research vessels.
Sherry says, what if it's more a light issue and not a water issue?
100%.
I'm on board with you. I'm right there with you. I think that's the issue. I think that, like they were saying, that when NOAA did that experiment, they put healthy octopus in tanks with no water, and they survived 20 days.
Yeah, that's a lot. A whole lot.
Boys, I think we may be on to something here.
Yeah, that could definitely be something, man.
I mean, like we've said, I mean, it's as viable a theory as anything else out there.
Why the heck not,
Exactly.
dude?
I mean, if you can look at it and say, "Oh no, that is a spectral anomaly from another dimension,"
Yeah.
how can you not look at it and say, "Oh no, that's a cephalopod person"?
Well, and see, I like the way we were thinking. We were thinking, hey, this could be supernatural, but then we started thinking more like we do scientifically and saying, okay, what is something in the
Looking for
natural world?
Other possible explanations.
Right. What is something in the natural world that could mimic this?
Exactly.
So,
And on that note, let's take a quick pause to pay the bills. Be a good time for you guys to top off your coffee, pet the dog, kiss the wife, grab a snack, whatever you're into, and we will see you guys in just a few minutes.
In a world where monsters still walk the earth, one author dares to face them. From the brutal cryptid horror of the Apex Predator series to the Ozark legends that stalk the night in Lakeview Man, from the elite warriors of codename Wild Hunt to the relentless investigations of the Nightmare Hunter and the frontier terror of Dark Frontiers. When the dead rise, the Ragnarok Rising saga unleashes pure zombie apocalypse fury. And across the stars, war rages in the Lost Legion and Man's Marauders. And in the realm of myth and steel, the world of Vanguard calls to those born for legend. Cryptids, zombies, sci-fi warfare, epic fantasy. This is the universe of D.A. Roberts. The new book, How to Research a Haunted House by paranormal investigator Margie Kay and professional researcher Violet Wisdom, is now available from Unex Media. This one-of-a-kind book explains how to do research on a house with uncommon methods and resources used by historic home researchers, and how to determine who may be doing the haunting and why. How to Research a Haunted House can be used by homeowners, renters, investors, and it should be in the library of all professional paranormal investigators. Get this unique book at unxmedia.com or amazon.com. That's unxmedia.com or amazon.com.
Hey everybody, this is Kerry Pocket Doc Davis from Dark Angel Medical, and you are listening to DA Ex Machina with DA Roberts. You may recognize me or some of my products from Dark Angel Medical in some of the Apex Predator, Lakeview Man, and Wild Hunt books, and you can get those products at www.darkangelmedical.com, along with training classes on how to use those products and save a life. Shoot us an email at info@darkangelmedical.com and be the difference.
And we are back, folks. We are going to jump right back into this with both hands.
You got to send me script for a new commercial. I hate that.
All 8 hands.
All 8 of them.
At least you got a commercial, Doc.
Well, I'm still working on it.
I had to give him a hard time about it.
Mine still needs updated too, because it doesn't have the website information on it. Sherry Gale says, aren't the oxygen levels and pressures different underground? If so, between light and oxygen, it might cause the same reactions by something more similar to a rake. Very well could be. We don't know what kind of pressures exist at real depth because it's an alien environment to us. We just don't get that deep.
See.
But and that's the thing that though, and maybe that's why they have the body structure that they have, is so they can survive at any level, because it doesn't affect them the same way it affects us with the skeletal structure or anything with a skeletal structure.
And
not jump in on that one.
Yeah, and if they don't have it, because if they're more cartilaginous, like a shark or even like an octopus, other cephalopods, and if they don't have an air bladder, because some of them do, some of them don't, then they're not worried about pressure changes. But if they're these that we're talking about that are subterranean, their depth is not that great, they may have an air bladder, and that could be explained the exhalation sound and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, they don't have to worry about pressure changes because of the depth that they go to in the water.
Nick, he says, Nick Boris says, what if it's more like a bat? I would say they probably, would evolve certain characteristics living in total darkness. And they might even make a clicking sound on a frequency we don't even hear.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's very hard for us to hear bats unless they're very close.
Yeah, they're very high frequency.
Yeah. UHF, ultra high frequency.
Mm-hmm. Very high frequency. Faux shizzle.
An acknowledged unknown says 3 men on a sailing catamaran, almost 10 meters long, were torn from the ship into the depths of the sea by a giant octopus, 28 meters in total size. Holy moly, that's a big octopus.
28 meters.
28 meters. That's big.
That's like 90 feet.
That's massive.
Yeah. That's like 90 feet, dude. That's crazy big. And 90, that's not a giant squid. That's a freaking kraken, dude.
But,
yeah.
Doc, there have been documented giant squid at like 45 and 50 meters. So a giant octopus of that is not that far off. Or should not be that,
50 meters? That's 150 feet or more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about what we talked about earlier. The basketball size sucker marks.
Sucker marks.
That's probably from a unit about that big.
Yeah.
Marcus and Tony says, are these things as dangerous as other cryptos? I would say definitely, yeah. Because in the case in the Pacific Northwest, they were clearly hunting that dude. And on the Navajo reservation, I think it was actively trying to get those folks.
Well, and the girl in the barn. I mean,
the girl in the barn.
Reached the tentacle. Hand, tentacle, whatever.
Lone Queen says the Ninja sounds similar to the rake if you put it in polar seas and make it huge. Yeah, the Ninja is like this, like bipedal, amorphic, kind of flowing shaped thing that has been spotted. It was first spotted by the Japanese in Antarctica, and it could be the same thing.
Well, it's like we said earlier. We're not trying to sell anybody on this theory,
right?
This is just as we were talking, and we did. I know some people probably don't believe this, but the three of us did not talk and say, okay, now when we get on this, we're gonna come up with a cephalopod. That literally just came up as we were talking about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a progression of our conversation so many times.
But it makes sense when you start looking at what we talked about. You look at the videos that DA's played with the octopus crawling across the ground. That matches the description of the movement that some of these people. Yep. I mean, think about looking up and seeing an octopus crawling across the wall of the rocks. I mean that matches what he had on of them crawling across the ground. That's what that would look like up there.
Yes, they do. Some of them have a claw on the tip of their tentacle.
Yeah, Vincent Tipping says, I'm about 60-40 on this theory. Hey, man, honestly, it's 60-40, 50-50. It's anybody's guess. And we're just spitballing, man. We're brainstorming.
We're not trying to sell anybody on our theory. This is usually the three of us are pretty in tune with each other, and if one of us comes up with us, usually the other two are already thinking about it and just probably don't know it. They're just like, oh yeah. It's what makes sense to us. If it makes sense to you, great. If it doesn't, great.
Yeah, absolutely, man. 100%.
And like Robbie's saying, we're not trying to overly convince anybody. We're just seeing if this makes sense to anybody but us. Lone Queen says the suckers of squids have little claws into the prey.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
Marcus Antonius says, I bet these things can change their appearance like cephalopods. I would be willing to bet that. That's why they can appear humanoid and then right into the ground.
Well, I mean, think about the thing. They don't have any skeletal structure. They can form.
That would be perfectly in line with how people say they just kind of folded up.
Yep,
they didn't just stand up like a person and then kind of like fell back into the ground.
Bryce Edwards says, "You got your book and he loves it, Doc."
Hey, Bryce, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate that. Y'all get out there. If you got the book, go on there and give me some reviews, man. Y'all be good. Y'all be good. Don't be ugly. The reviews help because I've learned that from DA and Robbie both. Y'all get out there and give us some reviews. That helps.
Reviews drive sales.
Drive the sales because it gets into those analytics. So we appreciate that.
Definitely.
You're right, Miss Lene. The three bromegos of one mind and accord. Typically, we are, and it's scary how we all think alike. Well, I mean, sometimes we'll literally finish each other's sentences.
I wish Steve had been here tonight because you and Steve kind of come from the medical and biological background, and of course, me and Robbie are just the rednecks. But I think that I think that the four of us really present a well-rounded argument when we come up with stuff like this.
Yeah, no,
well, they come from the medical. We come from the technical of the
evidentiary based.
Yeah, evidentiary area.
Well, from the medical, like I said, we're like the medical detectives because we have to use evidence and everything like that too. So, it's something. If you look at the science, I had to use AI to get my review into Doc Speak. Okay, Audible. When is your book going to be on Audible? The virtual voice on Amazon, from what I was told by one of the customer service dudes, is like an invite only thing, and for beta test, it's still in the beta. I had to submit my information to say yes, I'm interested, and if it comes up, hopefully they'll pick me because I know DA and Robbie both have had their format.
Yeah. Here's the thing with DA and I, it just showed up on our
right
stuff.
Yeah, one day I logged in. I'm like, hey, when was I able to do this?
So I assumed that we were invited without having to do it. Doc had to do a survey. DA and I didn't have to do a survey.
Right. Since it's still in the beta program, I guarantee you, as y'all publish your books, it was like, okay, these next however many 150 books that are published by different authors, boom, they go in there to that virtual AI. So, and now I have to say, hey, can y'all send me? So we'll let you know. DA and Robbie will let y'all know. I'll let you know whenever, if and when it ever is available for virtual voice. So.
But in the meantime, if you have the Kindle, there is a feature in your Kindle, your little Kindle book thing, where it will read it to you.
Really?
Yeah, it's its own AI voice. It's not as good as the other AI voice, but it will read it to you. It's going to struggle with words like "hotametaneo," but it'll get common use words. Well, hotel metal neighbors.
He's a hotel metal neighbor.
That's cool.
Yeah, so if you've got it on Kindle, you can listen to it with an AI voice now. It just struggles with some pronunciations.
And the natural voice struggles with some things too.
Yeah.
You know that.
Thank you, Minxie.
Yeah. All right. So
yes, Miss Lene, it will read it to you. It's just not real good at it.
Reals, Miss Renee, for reals, Miss Renee.
It'd be cool if as AI gets more sophisticated, terrifying too. But if we could do our books like the graphic audio productions where you have the sound effects.
What you mean tomorrow?
That would be cool.
Yeah.
You mean tomorrow?
Yeah, no, right? Yeah. Yeah, that would be very freaking cool, man. Have a graphic audio production of the books.
I would like to sit down one night. I don't care whose book it is. It could be any of us. Heck, it even be one of Lucas if she wanted to be involved. But I'd like to sit down and do it like an old radio play.
Oh, dude.
That'd be
Totally.
fun.
I'm down.
Everybody reading their own character, and
Man,
like it set up the soundboard with a bunch of different sound effects, and
yeah, I'm down like a fat kid on a seesaw, man.
That would be fun. We should do that sometime.
Like 4 flat tires. Let's get after it.
Come on.
Come on. Yeah,
That'd be a lot of fun.
that'd be a well of a good time, sir.
I tell you, one book we couldn't do it with though. Hangman's Legacy.
True.
None of us are in it, so
Yeah, but we could all do a character. What I'm saying is, it's 130,000 words of climbing.
Yeah.
Nobody would know which character they were supposed to read. They'd be like, whatever, just read that one.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Minxie says use celery for breaking bones.
Just set up a table full of weird crap like they used to have on the old radio serials, crinkling paper, and there was a campfire.
Why do you have a bowl of wet oatmeal? They got to walk through mud.
Got to get me a theremin so I could do the woo wee woo sounds.
Jerry has a pretty cool new soundboard and has been using it on online cryptids. You need one, but he has one though, Hillary.
It's just not. It's not great, but I've got one.
I don't know. I've got one too. I don't know which one is better, mine or yours. We might need to check that out one night and see which one's better.
Mine's not awesome. It's just a cheapie.
So, well, mine's not like overly expensive either. So that's why I said we might.
Miss Lene said she'll get a cowbell.
Needs more cowbell.
Got a fever. The only prescription is more cowbell.
I need more cowbell. Yeah, it's not. Your tone's all wrong. I need more cowbell.
That's one of the best skits ever.
Yeah, I love Chris. I love Chris Walken. Dan Werrick says I'm down for the radio show. Get Cam to help. Have Cam be the narrator, and we could just do characters.
Well, and I know everybody loves Cam. We do too. But the thing is with Cam, he is super busy, and it's hard to get. Look, she'll say this: all three of us would love to have Cam read every one of our books.
Oh yeah,
but
he just doesn't have time.
The reality of it is, Cam's got his own stuff he's doing, and he doesn't have time to read our books. He really, if he could get to one, maybe two of them a year, would you say, DA? That would be very, very good.
Yeah, and he's got his own projects.
That'd be a high number if he could get to one or two of our books. And I'm saying one or two of our books, meaning all three of us combined, not just one or two of DA's, one or two of mine, one or two of. I'm saying one or two
total.
Three of us total would be a very high number.
Yeah,
and so we would love to get him to do our, because we all love the way Cam talks. Everybody loves the way Cam talks. It's just it's probably not going to happen.
You talk.
Get Race to do the narrator.
Now that would be an option, because he did say he would do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get Race to come on and do the narrator part. Be like last time he popped in, all the ladies on the show wouldn't be listening to us anymore.
I got the vapors.
The vapors.
He has got quite the voice.
Lord have mercy, doesn't he? All right.
Hey,
Well,
you got a voice for a little guy there, Doc.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So folks, whether you're on board for the cephalopod theory or not is entirely up to you. We just, like I said, this just kind of evolved organically. Like the night we really started talking about, the echolocation. It just kind of, it popped into the conversation and we built from there.
Yep.
but it does make a lot of sense, and it ties this in with like the ninja and other stories where it's still moving in the same way. I think it's at least a compelling theory. Not trying to present it as gospel, not by a long sight. But if you're on board, that is awesome. If you're not, I understand why you're not. I don't believe this is 100% gospel myself. I just think it's a very compelling theory.
100%.
But it makes a whole lot of sense. It
fits a
like
lot of the descriptions.
Yeah,
It's got weight to it.
Yeah, it checks a lot of the boxes. It, like we said, if you start really looking at, like, if you want to look at real world things that could actually do the things that we read about tonight, that a cephalopod like that kind of really does check all the boxes. Does that mean that that's 100% what it is? No, but if you start looking at it and just kind of stacking it up, it checks a whole lot of those boxes.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
From the descriptions of how it moved to the descriptions of how it stood up to how it disappeared into places too small for a person to crawl through, it makes a lot of sense.
Uh-huh. And that's all verifiable stuff that we can look at from tests that scientists have done on these cephalopods, completely, totally separate from what we're talking about. You can look at tests that they've done. You can look at videos like DA brought up on YouTube of these things just walking across the beach that pretty much mirrors exactly what we read these things doing tonight.
Exactly.
And there again, not saying that's 100% linchpin to saying, yep, that's it. That's what these are. But it does start, when you start looking at that, it starts fitting that mold.
Yeah, it fits it, man. It really does. We're not having to make this stretch because you can compare one and apples to apples. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So again, your theories are just 100% as good as anything we come up with. There are no experts in this field, and anybody that says otherwise is selling you something. We just try to present the most logical course of action based on the evidence and eyewitness testimony, and we just present the information and allow you guys to make your own choices on what you think it is. We will never try to shove a theory down your throat. Whatever we present is 100% up to you whether you believe it or not. Where you would throw Doc's little flag down range and call BS on the play. That is 100% in your wheelhouse. Completely, like I said, everybody's theory is just as good as anything we've come up with. I just think that this one does make a very compelling argument.
I agree.
I will, Hillary. I'll poke you with a stick to test the theory. They'll tell you I'll poke the stick. I'll poke you with the stick.
Yeah, Robbie will definitely poke it with the stick.
That's right.
So what we heard about in Kentucky, the creature took somebody. So what happens when the pale crawlers don't stay underground? What happens when they come up in groups? We don't know. They could be moving in clusters, and clusters means behavior, and behavior means purpose. So some encounters leave you pretty shaken. I know this last one left me pretty shaken. Some leave you questioning what you saw. But the ones that stay with you, the ones that change the way you look at the world, are the encounters where something else made the choice for you. Tonight we walked through 6 documented events, 6 moments where something pale, silent, and impossibly adapted to the dark surface of the world, surfaced into our world. Not legends, not rumors, not campfire stories. Documented behavior, witness testimony, and patterns that repeat across states, cultures, and generations. From Fresno's gliding figures to the cemetery crawler in Texas to the thing under that barn here in Missouri, or the stalker on the switchbacks where the thing was across the rock face, to the crawl space breach from attempt on the Navajo Nation, to the mine shaft where two men went in and only one came back out. The escalation is undeniable. Emergence, observation, shadowing, approach, breach, and then disappearance. These aren't isolated events. They're steps in a behavioral chain, one that suggests intelligence, adaptation, and purpose. And if the pale crawlers are following a pattern, then the real question isn't what are they, it's what are they preparing for. Because creatures don't evolve in a vacuum. They evolve in response to something. Environmental, competition, opportunity. And when something that lives underground starts surfacing more and more often, when sightings cluster and behavior escalates, it means the dark is changing, or something in it is waking up. If you've seen something, a pale figure, a long-limbed shape, a crawler in a ditch, or a shadow that moved wrong, send it to us, daroberts@daroberts.net. Your story might be the missing piece in a pattern we're only beginning to understand. And remember, folks, we're all in good health. We're not going anywhere. And despite what the bush outside says, I don't plan on disappearing anytime soon. This has been episode 408 of the Nightmare Hunters, folks. I'm D.A. Roberts. Stay safe, stay aware. And if you hear something moving beneath the floorboards tonight, don't look down, don't kneel, and don't listen too long. Because sometimes the dark doesn't just hide things. Sometimes it remembers your name.
We got to have that sound effect.
Thank you, Judy. Oh, yeah, we need the dun 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 sound effect.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Thank you, Judy.
So, we've reached the portion of the show where we'd like to thank our affiliates. And rather than going through a long list, you've already seen a commercial twice of Doc tonight, so you know all about Dark Angel Medical. And don't forget to use discount code Cryptid20 for 20% off your order. Packing birthdays in boxes, and the life you save might very well be your own. Check out the good folks over at Scallywag Tactical. Get yourself a good knife. I discovered tonight that they have discontinued the Jolly Roger, which is too bad because this is still one of my favorite knives.
That's a good.
It is just a fantastic knife, but they have got more folders now than I've ever seen them with. They've probably got 20, 25 different folders. The Orca is still around. The Mini Jack is still around.
That's good.
What's that?
I thought they got rid of the Orca. That's good.
Orca's still there. Just saw it earlier today. They've got a bunch of new folders. There's quite a few of those new knives that I would love to have, but yeah, I'm not gonna be buying any of them anytime soon. But they have got some fantastic new blades. You guys need to check them out. Don't forget to use discount code DARoberts10 at checkout for 10% off your order. They have done away with the blemish blades. Those will not be back. That's what Craig was telling me anyway. Also, check out the good fellows over at sigwoarms.com. Fantastic guys, sigwoarms.com. Full line of pew-pews, whisper pickles, and freedom seeds.
And we are working on getting the dates finalized for our Dark Angel Medical class there at Sigwo Arms in Springfield, Missouri, sometime this year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And check them out. They've got great deals on ammunition and weapons. And if you're a first responder, they really show you some love. So if you go to sigwoarms.com, don't forget to use discount code Bigfoot5 for 5% off your order. And if you're a veteran or a first responder, let them know, and they will stack that on up to 10%, which does add up when you're talking about some of these purchases. So check them out. Let them know we sent you. Tell the Codys we said hi, and that's our affiliates, folks. We support them because they are all veteran and first responder owned, and we're very proud to do that. We are very proud of our veterans and first responders, and we are always going to be that way. Robbie, how about you talk to us about the various books and authors that we are featuring and are available?
Well, there's 3 authors on the page here. We've got The Godfather over here.
Gonna make you an offer you can't refuse.
Yep, the Godfather that has paved the way for all of us. We got the new kid on the block with his first entry, and amazing entry, I might add.
Thank you.
Very, very good.
5 stars.
Very-
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars. A 5. I couldn't do 10 because there's not a 10 because Billy Bob was like a 10. But this time Billy Bob was like 5. So DA's got 37 and counting, working on 38, 39, and 40 at the same time. He calls me a machine. He's like working on like 5 at one time. Anyway, he's got that going for him. Doc's got his first one out. He's working on his second one already. Go check him out. Check all of us out on Amazon.com. You can get
Trying to
DA's
find
books.
Doc's link.
You can get DA's books on daroberts.net. And if you like all of our stuff and you like our covers, there's a reason you like our covers because our covers are all done by the same person, the lovely and talented Luca T. Jacobs.
Amen.
You can go check her books out at lucatjacobs.com. She's got like 13, I think now.
I think it is 13.
13
Robbie,
books out.
how many do you have?
I've got 8, working on 9.
He's pretty respectable, brother.
Hey, dude, yeah, dude, that's very respectable.
Because where you are, I was not so long ago.
I have
Heck,
one.
it wasn't so long ago I had just one.
All right, and I'm working on 2. And so
I'm
I'm sorry.
plugging y'all. Quit talking about me. I'm plugging y'all.
Yeah, but we want to plug you too. And
Exactly.
Luca.
But he said Robbie plugged the books. He didn't say Doc plugged the books. He said Robbie plugged the books. So you just sit there and be quiet. Doc.
I love you.
I love you too.
Love you, Peaches.
Peaches.
So go check out DA on if y'all want to check that one out, that's okay. But go check out DA, daroberts.net and Amazon.com. Check out Doc on Amazon.com. Check out Luca on Amazon.com and lucatjacobs.com. And once you get done checking all them out, you can check me out on Amazon.com. DA's working on his 38th, I think, with the Mount Dora incident. That should be the next one to come out. Then probably after that will be the Leviathan down. I think you kind of switched and you're going to have Mount Dora come out first, right?
Probably.
Okay. And Doc's working on book number 2, which is going to be what, Doc? Have you come up with a title yet for book 2?
Blood in Deadwood.
Blood in Deadwood. You heard it here first. And I am working on Blood of speaking of Blood of Valgard, which is not a continuation, but a sidebar from Heart of Iron. It is a sword and sorcery, barbarian style fantasy from Valgard, and you will see some familiar faces in that book. Also, I am probably 40,000 words into a side venture that is probably going to be tied in at some point. Or actually, I think DA and I have already figured out how it's going to be tied in. So that will be number 10, I think. Yeah, because Blood of Valgard will be number 9. This will be number 10. And I also have 11 in the pipe that the 3 of us have talked about.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a World War II epic with Declan, Doc, and Jed.
That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
I think I've got 6 planned right now for this series that I've got right now, right here. So
Heck
that's,
yeah,
what
boys.
that's what I've got outlined and done some rough drafts on.
We there's a lot of stuff back behind the scenes that that we're trying to figure out and map out. And yeah,
And you got three people writing in almost the same verse. Things can get a little convoluted.
But hey, were you gonna? But how? But over here, we'll try over. Yeah, do that.
And then we're like, dadgummit, I got to rewrite that whole chapter.
And we've had to do that.
Yes, we have.
Yeah,
Miss Lene can attest to the anguish I felt on that day.
Yeah, it's like, hey, were you doing this? I'm like, no, you said we were going to do that. I did. Yeah. Shit, I gotta rewrite this.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, when Miss Lene told me about all the timeline stuff, in book one here, and I was like, oh my Lord. So yeah, had to rewrite a couple of chapters. It is what it is, though.
But all that being said, we're having a blast doing this.
Yes.
Because, when DA started all this, and this is why I called him the Godfather. He started the universe that Doc and I get to play in and ride in. And when he started, he had no clue that he was going to have these other two idiots, writing stories in it.
The idiots.
Yeah, the two idiots. But we are having so much fun trying to figure this stuff out and trying to get this out there for y'all and trying to make sure that everything makes sense and everything flows and everything, follows the timelines and the conversations that the three of us have. Well, hey, what are you doing with so and so? Was that? It's like,
yeah. Because what year was this? What was this? When was this one before this one? Yeah, and so we appreciate y'all. Like DA has always said, thank y'all for taking the ride with us, and thank y'all for your support and for telling other people about it. And that's why I was saying, hey, get us those good reviews in if y'all like it, and we appreciate it. And
I don't know anywhere else where three authors are writing like this. We're writing a broad spectrum.
Right.
Each author has its own story. It's like DA said the other night when three of us were talking. He's like, each one of us can write Declan. Each one of us can write Jed. Each one of us can write Doc. Each one of us can write, whoever. And it's that person and that character, but there's a little different flavor because it's coming from this perspective or it's coming from that perspective.
Yeah.
So I don't know three other authors that do things the way the three of us do.
Yeah. And you really, I agree. And I think it really, whenever y'all are out there, y'all are reading the books and you see that, you get a more humanistic view. It really brings a lot more actual humanity to that character. So y'all can relate to different things with each character.
Yeah, because like when you look at, or when you read Doc's book, you hear Declan, you hear Jed, but you hear Declan and Jed through Doc, the character, which is actually Doc Carey, Pocket Doc Davis.
Through my eyes, through
his eyes. You can still tell it's Declan. You can still tell it's Jed. The same way that DA wrote him, but there's a little bit of difference. Because that comes through DA. And there's just a little bit of difference in the way DA interprets Jed and Declan and Doc versus the way Doc does versus the way that I do. So you can tell that all these characters are the same person, but there's just a little bit of differences because it's coming through a different perspective.
Right. And Miss Lene said it too. That's what makes them so wonderful. That's what makes it so enjoyable to read. It's like, I really enjoy reading these two guys' books because I hear it from their voice. And that's the coolest thing. It's like DA said when he read my book, he's like, bro, everything I read it as if you were saying it, as if you were in the background narrating it. And that's exactly what I do.
Same thing. When I read DA's books, I hear his voice saying it. When I read Doc's books, I hear it in his voice. When I read my own books, I hear it in my voice, which is weird, and
Yeah.
I wish I could stop that, but that's the way it is. I hear it in my voice.
But I think it's like Hillary said, kind of like a different musician's rendition of a song. Yeah, it's like a different cover piece. Yeah, and so it's their interpretation, and that's what I love about it, man. Because these guys, we all write in similar but different styles, and that's why it never is going to get old. You know what I mean?
I think they're very complementary styles.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no conflict. It's all.
That's the biggest thing. Is like you said. And like I said, I got to give DA credit for this because he's the one that said it. He's like, I can tell, like when I read something that, or when he said when he reads something that I wrote, and Declan and Doc are in it, or Jed or whoever that he's written before. He said, I can tell who you're talking about, but I can tell there's a little bit of difference. Same thing with Doc. You know, you can tell there's a little bit of difference, but that's because it's coming from a different perspective. It's not coming from the same person. So, and that was something, and I'm sure Doc felt the same way. I struggled to make sure when I write Declan, I write him exactly, or not exactly, but I write him how DA would perceive him, but he's a little bit different because he's coming from a different lens.
Correct. Yeah.
And, you know, and that was something that I had to just come to terms with for myself, was like, I don't have to write him exactly how DA would write him.
Right.
I have to write him how there's certain constraints that I have to stay in. Same thing with this book I'm working on right now. And that's a big one because, you know, Balkus is in this book. So DA has already set that archetype. I guess that's the right word, right? DA, the archetype.
Yep.
He's already set that archetype for how Balkus is. And as long as I stay within that, there's different ways that I could go and have Balkus do this. It's like, okay, how would my main character that is in this book interpret how Balkus would see this?
Hey, Robbie, McKinley has a good question. Probably already a thing, but is there a read order for all these books chronologically? Yes. If you follow the Facebook page, McKinley,
and Nightmare Hunters, I think it's on, is the one that the show's on.
I think it was Miss Lene did the whole thing in order of reading. So if you go to their Facebook page, the Nightmare Hunters Nation.
We sat down one night and we figured out what now counting doctors 44.
That is insane, dude.
Is that right? Because there was 43.
I think it's about right.
Because there was 43, I think, between me and you, and then add Doc in. There's 44 books in canon in the universe. Because even though you don't right now, Kodiak is not technically. It doesn't. You can read Kodiak anywhere. You can read Ragnarok series anywhere, and it doesn't affect the main timeline of the canon universe. They're still technically in the universe. They haven't just been slotted in anywhere yet. But there's now counting Doctors 44 books that are in that universe. Because all of our books, even whether they say they're, whether you get a cameo or, a nod here and there, all of our books are in the same universe, whether they say it or not.
Yep.
So 44 books now between the three of us that are
growing
in this and growing that are in this universe.
Yep. Because I'm well over halfway through my second one already.
So, well, hopefully we'll have many more books to share with you guys.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Yep. Hopefully, Blood of Valgard should be out in the next week to maybe 2 weeks.
Joyce.
I'm shooting for 1st of March.
Nice.
And I'd like to give you a firmed up release date, but I don't really. I can't predict where this book is going to finish. It's one of those I'm just letting the story run its course. So it may be north of 140, 150,000 words when I'm done. And it's already 130. I mean, it's a weighty book. It's going to have some chunk to it. And I hope you guys like it. The alpha readers all seem to like it.
Yeah. I was telling you this morning. It was this morning. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
RC has quickly become one of my favorite characters to
He's
write.
great.
Miss
I
Lene,
love Jesse.
when I say the first, I mean within the first, 6 to 7 days of the month. I know tomorrow is March 1st, but I mean within the first, let's say within the first 10 days of the month.
Yes. Yeah. The interaction between RC and Jesse, dude. It honestly reminds me a lot of me and Jed's exchanges. It really does. Really good.
Yeah, they're a lot of it's a lot of fun characters to write. They're all brand new characters, and even the dogs, the horses, and the truck have personality.
Yes, the truck especially. Y'all are gonna love the truck.
Truck's pretty cool.
I would love to have that truck in real life.
Who wouldn't?
That would be a heck of a vehicle to own. Northwoods, he says, I like the sound of that book. It sounds like it'll take me more than 8 hours to read it. All said and done, it's probably going to be between 500 and 600 pages when it's all said and done. It's at 480 something right now. So, yeah, and it's not done. I mean, I expect it to be between 500 and 600 pages when it's done.
Don't worry, Northwoods. Blood of Algar is not going to take you that long to read. Sorry.
Miss Mace is an RC in the reporter.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, we're gonna go ahead and wind her down here before we have to do another commercial break. But we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Like Doc was saying earlier, stories are journeys we take together, and I want to thank each and every one of you guys for taking those journeys with us. Because the one of the greatest things that I think humanity has ever created was the storytelling, and it's those shared stories that really unite us all. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what your background is. Everybody enjoys good stories, and we're going to continue to try to bring you the best stories we can tell, and hopefully you guys will love each and every one of them. So, folks, as we wind things down, I always want to mention the 22 a Day Foundation. We lose 22 veterans a day to suicide, and that is 22 too many. And if you want to see the toll taken on our veterans, go check out mission22.org or go to odmp.com, which is Officer Down Memorial page, and to see the toll it's taken on our first responders. And it's tremendous, and it's not reported in the media. You guys really should take a minute. Go check out odmp.com and mission22.org. It'll open your eyes to some things. So folks, just support your friends and family and your loved ones that are worn a uniform or still wear a uniform, no matter what capacity, what branch, what kind of first responder they were, because they've all seen and experienced things that'll sometimes it's hard to wrap the brain around, and they deal with the pain from that. PTSD is a beast, and no one should have to face it alone. So, folks, if you're struggling with it, remember, don't let the hard days win. Reach out to somebody, even if it's just somebody to sit and have a beer with and not even talk about it, just to be with somebody. Reach out. And folks, if you're struggling, don't be afraid to reach out. You wouldn't go into combat alone. Don't face this alone. There are people that care. So we want to get that 22 a day down to 0, where it belongs. And we've been closing out the show with a toast for a while now, and it's something I'm very proud of. It's something I want to continue doing. And it's a beautiful old tune. And Robbie just found a new version of that song out there by Home Free. Holy cow, that song, that'll give you chills the way they do it. It's an absolutely beautiful song. And if you guys haven't heard it, you should go check it out. Folks, we're going to raise a glass. And Doc, why don't you give us the toast tonight?
All righty here. So from the Irish drinking song, The Parting Glass. But since it fell into my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night and joy be to you all. Stein Java. Thank y'all for being here.
Slán Java. We'll see you next time.
Plains, the winds are howling, saloon doors swinging, shadows growling. 3 lawmen stand tough as rawhide. Yeah, Doc and DA, nothing can abide. Whiskey shots and poker faces, staring down the darkest spaces in this town where legends roam. These boys bring justice, sending evil home. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rains. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless night. Jed's a howler, claws of steel. Doc's a biter, makes the devil real. But DA's a shifty one, a shape-shifting soul. Can turn to anything, takes any form, takes control. Tonight the chupacabras come to town, sucking the life from all around. But these lawmen, they ain't afraid. They'll face the darkness unafraid. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rains. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless night. Full moon rises, bat wings flap, the air grows cold, a chill and trap. But these lawmen, they're ready to fight underneath the pale moonlight. Jed and Doc transform with a howl. DA shifts, becomes a night owl.